Welcome to Liberatory Imagination. I'm your host, Tiffany. I've been simmering on this idea of how are we evolving our dreams for our future as we evolve and grow. And I've been reflecting on when I was in my early 20s, right after college. I really got into the self-development, mindfulness, a little new agey sort of world. I got into podcasts really hardcore. I was really into podcasts like On Being by Krista Tippett and some other podcast that honestly is embarrassing to even name, but it's like very like be your best self, be your authentic self. Meditation will heal everything. And at that time, I was still really in the Christian world, so I was asking a lot of questions and breaking down the concepts of the religion that weren't sitting well with me. So this kind of reevaluating my life through a new lens was refreshing to me. Now that I'm in my mid-30s, I have other thoughts and critiques about self-improvement and new age mentality. But what really stuck with me was this idea that it isn't about the particular details of the dream that we're going after. And this was in the manifestation kind of conversation, but it's about the feeling that we think we will have when we finally get there. So I might think, okay, I really want a husband and kids, and I want a house, and I want a dog, and I want to take care of my children and have babies. And that's the detail that I think will actually get me the feeling of security, of being loved, of loving, of applying myself in ways that feel purposeful. It feels like safety and a life that's consistent in taking care of my people and being taken care of. And what I was learning in my early 20s was don't get so stuck on the particulars. Sure, you might have a goal of I want to graduate from grad school, or I have a goal of I want to start a business. I have a goal of I want to start a family. Sure, it's okay to name the things that you want, but the energy has to be how I want to feel when I get there. And then taking that feeling, taking that clarity of like, I want to feel secure and safe in my body. I want to be loved. I want to love. And that's a priority and not the details and not getting lost in how I think I will get there. And a lot of the people that I was listening to in the day was also like, also look around. Like maybe you have that already. Maybe you already have all the elements for you to deepen that feeling. And I've been thinking about how strong propaganda and patriarchy feeds us our dreams since we were little, and we all know this. Like if you're conditioned as a woman, you know that you were spoon-fed from birth that your purpose in life is to take care of other people, is to be a mother. Your purpose in life is to be the backbone and the support of a man. Your purpose is for other people to see you as the sacrificial, self-sacrificing, beautiful woman who is easeful, who goes through tragedy and hardships with such ease, with such gracefulness. And all her children are so obedient and they will take care of her when she's old. And the husband is so pleased, so happy for such a good wife and mother of his children. We're spoon-fed this image of a house that we own. We are spoon-fed the dog we will have. We're spoon-fed if we can get to this wealth bracket, then we will finally make it. We can have beautiful vacations. It'd be so cute to be cheering the son on at a baseball game. And it's so cute to see the little girl in ballet and to go to recitals. And while that all sounds now very archaic, probably, it's still in there because I see it around us all the time. And for some context about myself personally, I have always been praised of how good I am with kids. I love children. I have been a nanny for a decade in my life. I love taking care of children. I love watching babies grow into toddlers, into grade school, and I love being able to nurture how they see the world, protect their curiosity, protect them. And all those things are really, really beautiful. I can look back and see, like, wow, I was really praised for how I am going to be the best mother. So natural. And up till a couple years ago, I said that I will have kids, whether I have a partner or not. I knew for a fact I would adopt. I knew for a fact that I will have my own child to take care of. Like only 5 years ago, I went through a season of exploring what egg freezing looked like because I knew that I was getting into my 30s and I didn't want to lose the chance of having my own kid. And I went deep. I listened to all these podcasts. I figured out how much it would cost me and the risks and how many cycles I might need to do. And in the end, I couldn't do it because I couldn't justify it financially. But there came a turning point for me where I caught up to myself. My dreams caught up to myself. And it was after a really, really bad breakup from a toxic ex of mine, abusive ex of mine. And I finally arrived to a place where it was accurate to where I actually am, where I wasn't fixated on this detail that was fed to me, but I really got to ask myself, my most authentic self, what do I want? What do I truly want from a place of purity, from an honest place? And I realized if I was honest with myself, kids weren't the only way that I can feel fulfilled. And actually, I'm not sure if it's the right thing for me, period. And so I've been sitting with like, what does it take to evolve our dreams to our maturity, to where we have truly grown? Because I'm witnessing a lot of peers and people where I know they have learned a lot with life experience, but why are their dreams the same as when they were 4, 5, 10? And I get it. Like that also happened to me. How am I here and they are still there? I was just talking to my partner of how grateful I am to be child free. I could never be in this place in my life with this kind of confidence, with this kind of freedom, and this kind of loving myself. I don't think I can get there if I actually had a kid. I would be freaking out financially if I had to take care of another child. And I'm sure I would still be a wonderful parent and I would figure it out. But I am so, so grateful that I was spared. I'm so grateful I was spared from the dreams of my 4-year-old. And I don't fault that 4-year-old or 10-year-old. Of course, that's where she thought that happiness lives. Of course. It was fed to me by my parents, by media, by every movie, by every show, by all my peers, by my aunties and uncles. It's the same narrative. And of course, that got into my system, into my head, into my heart. And I'm not going to get into all the reasons why, because if you're here, you probably know why. It's through capitalism, imperialism, colonialism, patriarchy, etc. Like, I think that we know why. But what I'm more interested in is how do I continue to evolve my dream for my future, for our future, based on how I'm growing, based on how I'm maturing, based on how I am expanding. And as I said, I never want to get too fixed on the detail, but I think it is important to be able to imagine my future, imagine our world in a way that is responsible, in a way that is realistic, in a way that is thoroughly looked at from a critical lens. I just watched this TikTok, and if I'm not mistaken, 64% of femmes who are in their 20s and 30s are child free. And that has never happened before. And I'm like, wow, wow. I think that for one, it's a great thing because I think that We are realizing our agency and breaking out of some patriarchal conditioning. I also think that in this recession and how we see genocide and capitalism, it is a rude awakening of the question, do we want to bring humans into this hellhole? Is it responsible to do so? And that's a heavy question. That's a really heavy question. And no shame to folks who say yes responsibly. That's a beautiful thing. I think life and children are so incredibly beautiful and they deserve everything. But it's complex and it is nuanced in why more and more people are deciding not to have kids. As I think about my inner 10-year-old and she is watching me live my life. There's constantly this grief of like, okay, your vision of the future is dead. Your vision for your future, what you thought you had, what you were aiming for, that dream is dead. It is long gone. Tiffany, your adult self, will never be with a man, probably will never have kids, will never have this traditional life that you thought you were training for. And she needs to grieve that dream. But I also think that she is watching me live into my life and be like, whoa, nobody told me that was possible. Nobody told me that art and liberation and learning not to center men and white people, like she didn't know that was an option because everything taught her to function in that world. And she had to for survival. But she did not have the capability to dream this big. And I think that my 10-year-old would be so proud of what I have opened myself to, paths that I have carved out for myself, ways that I had to do on my own, and also ways that I am privileged to do with other people. I think she would be in awe of what was actually possible. But yeah, the call really is to be so careful of how we think about our future, how we dream, because our dreams must be aligned with the world that we want to see. My dream isn't to hoard wealth. It never was, but it is so clear that is not my dream. My dream is not to hoard things. My dream is to my dream is to build a future for myself and for each other, for my loved ones, that is not at the cost of other people's lives. And right now, it is very impossible because I live in the belly of the beast. I live in the imperial core. I must forge forward to that ideal, to that goal. But back to grief, I think it is so important for me to, and I'm telling this to myself right now, to carve out time to grieve. There's so much to grieve. And I think that it's so hard to carve that time out because it's really overwhelming. It's overwhelming from a collective point of view of like all the children, all the people that have been murdered by Zionism, by imperialism, by US, by Israel. Like it's just so impossible. Like how do you begin to grieve all the lives lost, all the names I don't know, all the names that we do know? It feels so impossible and so unfair on a micro level of things that I feel like were robbed from me, like my own agency when I was a child, or my own agency and body autonomy when I was in that abusive relationship. The layers of grief is so deep. It's so overwhelming. Every time I tear up or cry, it feels like it's for so many things. And sometimes I wish that we were afforded to be able to cry for just one thing at a time. Yeah, but it's good to name things and it's good to release what is here, what is here. So for my ending question, what does liberatory imagination spark in me today? It sparks in me the willingness to be very, very intentional about how I am shaping my vision for the future, even though it is very unknown. Like literally next month, it is very unknown. But there is always something that I want to move towards, somewhere I want to grow into, someone I want to be. And I want to be very intentional of always shifting that to meet where I am now, which is a little bit more mature. I have a little bit more life experience. I have healed a little bit more and constantly shifting it. And to be completely audacious about it because how I shape my future, how I see my future is completely tied to how I want to build with liberatory minded people the world that we want to see. They're not separate. It's not like my personal life and then systemically like bigger concepts and bigger visions of liberation. No, they're like this. And my challenge is for everyone, for you to question, does my dream for my future match what I believe right now? Match where I am right now? Match how far I have come? And for a lot of us, we need to continue to every day pluck out the threads of propaganda, pull out the threads of capitalism, of colonialism, of self-hatred, of comparison, of competition. Pluck it all out. We need to do that every day, piece by piece, because that is part of how we get to a world where people have what they need, a world without colonialism and imperialism and capitalism. All right, so that's it from me for today. More from me next time. Thanks for tuning in.